I'm talking Nabu, not no gates. Yeah, them NFTs cost spaghetti. Yeah, my diamond head 24 karat. Buy when it's low, then you sell it off. In the marketplace, we on digital. Brand new NFT, this ain't physical. Need at least 100, that's the minimum. Flip, yeah, I'm out the bigger the brick, yeah. We on the blockchain, look at my wallet is lit, yeah. Money legit, yeah. I just made triple my rent, yeah. Gotta flip, yeah, you rich, yeah. I got 100 NFTs on my phone. Pineapple the juice, double cup, styrofoam. Really? I don't see no man, I get bread when I'm on. Don't care what they say, cause they pockets dead wrong. I just made a flip, yeah, flip, yeah. I just made a flip, yeah, rich, yeah, rich, yeah. Now we crypto rich, yeah, sick, yeah. Haters, they so sick, yeah, flip, yeah. Make that money flip, yeah.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Debate Night. I'm here with my homie Butt Thompson, the VV OG and YouTuber OG, who's going to be joining me in a little bit of a political debate tonight. What's up, Butt? You feeling okay tonight? Can you hear me, Butt?
I can hear you. I got you doubled up though. I got your voice doubled up.
Oh, you might have it open on a second screen or something. How do you have it doubled? You should only have Zoom open. If you have YouTube open, also mute YouTube and just talk back and forth through Zoom. Hopefully that works. How's the sound in the chat? Let us know if the sound's okay. This is a new scene that I just set up, so I don't necessarily know that it's going to be working perfectly. It looks like the sound levels are okay, though. What's up, everybody in the chat? Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to be talking about a little bit of U.S. politics. I mainly lean left when it comes to politics, and Mr. Thompson over here mainly leans right. So I thought it would be a good matchup for me when it comes to debate and politics. What's up, Mustus? What's up, Denny? Bruin88. John P is here. Christopher Stid. We got Roland in the house. Splint. Wop Manus is here. Woody is here. Let's go, Richard. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And whoa, where'd you go, Butt? I see your name, but I lost your picture. They're saying the sound is fine. Where'd you go, Butt? Come on back. Oh, it's going good. I could hear you just fine, then you disappeared. Butt, come back, Butt. I lost my butt. That don't sound right. What's up, Doc Strange? We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, apparently. I had Butt here with me just a second ago, and we lost him. But I lost you, but I see that you're still connected. I see your name. I just don't see your face or hear you. Oh, we got a new Butt. Okay. You're in here twice, bro.
Oh, okay. I see it. I see what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
I think I got it.
All right, cool.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah. Can you leave
I see.
one of them? All right, that's all right. I can fix it. No problem. All right, can you hear me all right now?
Yeah.
And I hear you just fine. All right, let me just fix your picture real quick. That's no problemo. Wait, you got two pictures? All right, that's fine. And then we're going to get into the topics tonight. All right, the first thing I want to get into, since we had a little bit of technical difficulty, is let's just get straight into it. But let me know what you think is the number one most important topic in U.S. politics right now.
Depends on, it's a little bit of a weird question. It depends on to which political side you're referring to, I guess.
To which political side I'm referring to. I think it's a pretty easy topic. I think the most important topic in the country and even in the world right now is money and politics, since people are able to legally bribe our congressmen to pass laws that benefit them, both when it comes to taxes, but even further down the line that benefits them. They're pretty much controlling our government. It's more of an oligarchy than it is a democracy, because they have the ability to buy a congressman. Would you agree that's a big problem?
I would say it might be a problem. It could certainly be a problem. I don't think that's the biggest political issue, though.
Okay.
I don't think that's what people are really concerned about. It's more of a problem with the system itself rather than a political issue, I think.
Okay, I don't know. I think people should be concerned about it. I think the reason people aren't more concerned about it is because they're trying to distract us with social issues that aren't as important. So let me tell you what I think is really important when it comes to the things that people in politics should be talking about instead of all these social issues, which I don't mind discussing as well, and I'm sure we'll get into those. But it's the economy. But Thompson, who would you say is better off for our national debt, Republicans or Democrats?
For the national debt?
Yes, sir. This goes along
Oh,
with that question that our buddy Richard sent over. Who's the party of fiscal responsibility and why?
right. Well, I don't think either party is necessarily financially responsible. Um, Maybe I could see an argument I could see an argument for like either side having a slight edge, right?
Right.
With that said, I would say the people that are most financially like sound are going to be people that are a little bit more aligned with libertarianism. And if I had to give you a name, I would say maybe the only person in the entire government that might know what he's talking about is Ron Paul.
Right. All right. Well, the actual fact of the matter is that Democrats are much better for the national debt, and I'll explain to you why. You have to first understand the difference between debt and deficits. Debt is the total amount that we owe, and each year the deficit is how much is added to that debt. And the deficit is we have a budget and we bring in taxes, and if we don't bring in enough taxes to fill that budget, the shortfall goes in as the deficit to our debt. So if you go back and you look through all the presidents, you got go all the way back to Bush Sr. When he left office, he left with a deficit. And then we had Clinton. Clinton was in office for 8 years. When he left office, he actually had a surplus. Our first surplus ever. That means he was able to balance the budget and even was cutting down on the debt each year by having a surplus. And then you got Bush Jr. When Bush Jr. left the office, the deficit was $1.2 trillion per year. And then you got Obama. Obama comes in 8 years later. The deficit is 600 billion per year. So that means that Obama cut the deficit by 50%. So that means that the debt was going down under Obama. And then once again, a Republican comes in office, and Trump, within 2 years, had the deficit back up to $1.5 trillion. So don't you think that proves that Democrats are better for the national debt?
Well, I understand why there's an argument for that. Like I said, I don't really necessarily think either party is necessarily fundamentally very financially responsible. Okay, so
Well,
I
Clinton
think
was
though
obviously. He had a surplus. Is that not financially responsible?
I don't think. Wait, who?
Bill Clinton, when he left office, there was a surplus, the last surplus we ever had.
Right. Do you? So was Bill Clinton impeached?
Huh?
Huh?
What does that have to do with anything? I'm talking about deficits. Who was bringing the deficit
Right.
down and who was bringing the debt down? The
Was Bill
Democrats,
Clinton
when the
impeached?
Democrats are in office, the deficit
No,
comes
no.
down. When Republicans are in office, the deficit goes up, and that's undeniable.
Right. Was Bill Clinton impeached though?
Over the sex stuff, probably, yeah. What's that got to do with anything, though?
I don't know.
Trump
All I'm
was impeached
saying is
twice,
that
so
you might have to govern in a certain way if you're being impeached. So all I'm saying is that there's a lot of variables that go into each president's candidacy. There's a lot of things that happen in the globe, and I don't necessarily see that much of a difference. I see it all as bad, though.
well, I mean, you're just talking in generalities. We got to go with what's factual, statistics, actual real things. For some reason, Republicans like to believe things without having the data for it, without researching it, without having any facts. Just as they hear something that goes with their narrative, they're like, yeah, I'm all about it. But I'm just giving you the facts right here. It's 100% fact that every time a Republican is in office, the deficit goes up. Every time a Democrat is in office, the deficit goes down.
Right. How many times have the Republicans been able to enact exactly what they want? Right.
I mean, Trump had both the House and the Senate when he was in office. He said he was going to, before he got elected, he said that healthcare, everybody would have healthcare and it would be cheaper. So why didn't he do it?
Right.
He didn't even try.
Right. Yeah. I don't. I think there's too much stuff going on in each presidency, and I don't think they're really necessary. I don't think any president is necessarily focused on the deficit or the debt when they are the president. Okay, that's what I believe.
Okay. If you
I
say
don't
so.
think any president. It doesn't matter about what party you are. I don't believe any president cares at all about the debt or the deficit when they are the president, though.
All right. Well, I don't see why they want it. That's kind of their job. But you might be right. Maybe they don't care. But at least whenever they're in office, the Democrats are doing something about the national debt, whereas Republicans are just passing tax breaks for the rich. Bush passed a giant break for the rich and pumped the deficit right before he left office. As soon as Trump got into office, he passed another giant tax break for the rich. Let me know this, but do you think that the rich get too many tax breaks in America?
No, I don't think they get too many tax breaks. Let me ask you though,
Okay.
did Trump did Trump give a tax break to the rich, or did he give a tax break to everybody?
He gave a itsy tiny tax break to everybody except for the rich. They got a huge tax break, and then he said the average tax break that everybody got was blah 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 number. That's because you take all those big numbers from the rich people and they do the math. It's always the math that they're trying to trick you with. We actually got hardly nothing from that, and if you balance it with the amount of inflation at the time, it was almost a loss. But whereas the rich people got big gains.
Well, if somebody has a lot more money than you, then a small gain will seem like a big gain. So it's hard to really like. I can't like. The problem is I haven't looked that deeply. I haven't looked that deeply into it to the point where I know, did the rich really benefit on a percentage wise much better than the average person? I don't know the answer to that question, quite frankly.
All right. Well, I will say that Democrats have recently been proposing these tax breaks, or these tax not breaks, but actual taxes that go to people who make $250,000 or more. So it only tax the people in the top bracket, but it's people who make less than 250,000 that support Republicans that are really upset about those types of proposals, calling them socialism. But don't they realize that they're voting against their own self-interest, because that money, they're not getting taxed it. These people already got all these tax breaks, and the money goes to the government. The government spends it on things that could help them, like the streets, the roads, the hospitals, the schools.
Right. I think you need to understand that with a lot of these understandings, there's a lot of people, at least maybe me, that thinks that the government is fundamentally very bad at doing things. And I don't think that, I think the government is fundamentally far worse than like a private business when it comes to solving problems, I would say.
Yeah, I disagree 1,000%. You're right that the government has
Yeah.
problems, but the government is the only solution. You need to get money out of the government, but then you need to grow government. You got to have government that, because power is absolute. The more power you take away from the government, the more power you give to corporations and private entities. Both of them can control your lives the same way, but you can't vote out a CEO.
Well, right. What can a CEO do? I don't know.
CEO of Amazon could limit the ability for you to purchase anything off the internet. I mean, corporations, private corporations, if they have more power than the government, they can control your lives the exact same way that the government can.
Right. I think I agree. I think the power has been given to those companies by the citizens, though, so it's a little bit of a big problem, maybe.
I think it's been given to the corporations. That power has been given to them through the Supreme Court whenever they allowed corporations to legally bribe congressmen to give them tax breaks and to get rid of regulations. And for some reason, people on the right really hate regulations. Regulation is just a long word for the word rules. And I don't understand why people on the right don't like the government giving corporation rules, things like taking lead out of the products so it doesn't hurt our children.
Well, the problem is that fundamentally the difficulty to open a business goes up tremendously if there's a lot of regulations in your place. And so what you're really doing is hurting people that are just normal people that want to try to start a business to change their lives.
They just don't want to follow the rules. You gotta follow the
Well,
rules. If
no,
you want to
I'm
start a
just
business,
saying
you gotta
that
follow the
it's like
rules. That's just the way it
exponentially
is.
harder for a business to be opened up if there's a lot of hurdles for that business to jump through.
Too bad. If the regulation is something like pay your customer or pay your employees or give your employees health care and they don't want to do it and they want to open up a business anyway, too bad. You got to follow the regulations. That's why they're regulations. That's why they're called rules.
It's a little bit absurdity, though.
I don't
Gone
believe so,
away
unless
with
it's some
it.
crazy regulation. And of course, there are some crazy regulations that have been proposed and even passed that don't make any sense. But most regulations are there to help the consumers or the employees.
Like, let me give you an example.
Sure.
If you want to make a change to your house, if you own a home and let's say you want to make a change to that house, that's actually a very difficult process. Do you understand?
How so? I make
Like,
changes to my
you
house all the
have
time.
to like tell the city if you want to add another bedroom. You can't just add another bedroom to a house willy-nilly.
Says who?
That, huh?
Since when? How so?
Because what you build has to be up to code.
In your own house
Yes,
that you own?
yes.
You got a source for that? I don't believe that's true.
Well,
I think I can build anything I want on my house.
no.
Who's
you
gonna come
won't be
check
able
it?
to.
Who's gonna come
If you
check it?
don't have an addition to your home permitted, it will not be allowed.
That's only if
If
you're
it comes
renting.
to you,
If
they will make you take that down. I mean, they're not going to know about it, of course, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to make you take it down once they find out about it.
I don't know. Maybe if you're inside the city limits or something, and there's a reason because your first example, somebody makes a giant overhang that's into the next person's yard and it could fall on their house, something like that. If you got houses close to each other, maybe that's a city ordinance, but I don't think it's like a national thing.
No, you need to have a part of your house. If you build something, you need to have it permitted.
The chat says you're right. I don't know. If I build something on my house, I ain't telling nobody. But apparently, yeah. Well, so the reason for having those permits then is for the safety of the family, you would think. Don't they want you to have a structure that is secure and strong so that you don't put some junk on your house and then your kid walks in there and it collapses on them?
That's the case, but the problem is that problem goes to the extreme, though. Sometimes people want to add something that's very, very like minuscule, right?
Yeah.
And they have problems because they have to jump through hurdles. So it's like, I understand the position that, yeah, they wanted to make sure it's safe. Like, that's very fair. But I think the problem is that people run into issues when they want to make much smaller adjustments and they have problems with something like that. And it's really more like it's a hassle more than anything. Like, you know,
Sounds like you gotta fill out some paperwork or something.
Feel hassled. Nobody wants to feel hassled because, like, when you get to that point, it starts to feel like the government is like doing something to like hurt you, like they're trying to hurt you once that happens.
Right, but don't you understand that their motivation there is to help, to save people's lives so that you have a structure that's not unstable and somebody gets hurt? Like, that's their whole point, is we don't want people to get hurt. So how do you think they're trying to hurt you?
Right, but let's say somebody wants to add something that's really not invasive to anything, though. They can still run into problems with permitting. You understand? Like, let's say I wanted to add a shed for holding like my lawnmower or something. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, that's like literally there's not even any danger there because the roof is going to weigh like 20 pounds, right?
Right.
So it's like, what is the danger? Or we could think of another example, but there's
No, you're
probably
right.
much
There
more
probably are
simple.
some regulations that are a bit too much. I mean, I know out here in Indiana, nobody's inspecting any of our stuff. But like I said, if you're in the city code, you have ordinance there that you have to follow, then maybe so. But let's move on to this topic that I can tell everybody in the chat wants to talk about. I see Resnick here says, Vault thinks Joe Biden is a better president than Trump. So if you think that Trump is a better president than literally any other president ever, please give me your reasoning here. Donald Trump threw such a big fit after losing the election that he literally attacked the country. He tried to take over the country. So what's really important here is that before the election with Hillary Clinton, Trump told everybody that if he loses, he will say it's rigged. He told everybody that. Then when he won, they asked him about it, and he said, I don't talk about it anymore because I won. And then before the next election, he said, if I lose, I will say it's rigged. And then he lost, and he said it's rigged, and people believed him. How is that possible? But do you think that the election was rigged?
Um, it's a little bit tricky because the term rigged is a little bit tough because it could mean many things, couldn't it? Um, was it rigged from a social media perspective? I would say yes.
In Trump's favor, maybe. He's the one that had the Russian troll farms
No,
working for him.
no. It was rigged against his favor.
How so?
There was a lot of news stories that were not allowed to be posted about on many social media websites.
Okay, so you're getting into like that kind of rigging? Because if you're getting to that kind of rigging, then you can go back to James Comey, a lifelong Republican who went out 3 days before the election and said, we have Anthony Weiner's laptop and it has new evidence against Hillary Clinton, completely changing the dynamic of that election. And then a week later saying, oops, we was wrong. That's rigging. If you want to talk about that type of rigging, that's far more rigging than anything that happened to Trump.
I don't think that there's any evidence that allows you to say that it was more rigged for either one of them.
I disagree.
I
All right,
don't
so
think you have
let's talk
any
about
evidence.
literal
I think
rigging. Do you think there was
there's a
voter
very
fraud?
good-
Because that's the claim.
I think there's a very good case that it was more rigged for either of them, okay? And I would say that there's a more bigger case that it was more rigged for Trump, just because I promise you, there was virtually not many places you could go on the internet to hear about one of those riggings, but there's a place that you can go and get a tremendous amount of information about the other, okay?
I'm not sure what you mean there. All I know is that Donald Trump even claimed that he got more votes, more overall votes. Like he won the popular vote.
Right.
And you understand that in 40 years now, it's been 40 years, the Republican presidential candidate has never won the popular vote with only one exception, and that was Bush after 9/11. Besides Bush after 9/11, the Republicans have never won the popular vote in the 40 years, and yet they've elected more justices to the Supreme Court. Is that fair?
Well, it's fair. I mean, if they've played by the rules, well, then it's certainly fair. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. And they played the right way. They played the long game. They're smarter than Democrats. I'll give you that on that.
Yeah.
But do you think that the popular vote is what we should be going by? The Electoral College, to me, seems like it puts more votes, more value on people's votes. And places like where you live, you're in Wisconsin, there's less of a population. You go to a person who's voting for president in California, their vote is like a sixth. It goes towards the presidency like a sixth as much as somebody who's in a really sparsely populated state because of the Electoral College. I think it makes more sense to me that we just go by popular vote because that's literally democracy. What do you think?
I understand what you're saying. I would say that the people that put our system into place, I don't want to pretend I'm smarter than they were. So I would say that I don't necessarily see a problem with the way it is, right?
Yeah, I see a big problem with the way it is, and I just explained what that problem is. And I definitely don't think the people who came before us were smarter than us because they were less educated than us. So that whole concept that the founding fathers knew everything, these dudes were like slave owners and stuff. They didn't know crap. They didn't have any type of empathy. Let's move on to a topic that people have been talking about a lot recently that I think is interesting. I don't even know where I stand on it exactly. I want to get your opinion on it, and that's with the transgenderism. What do you think about?
Can I just pause you? I mean, am I allowed to pause you and interject?
Absolutely. That's a debate, baby. Do whatever you want.
The people that made the government didn't have to be smart when it came to slavery. They only needed to be smart when it came to knowing how to make a government. So, like, you can say that we weren't, that they weren't as smart as us in some areas, I would say, sure. But that doesn't mean that we today, me and you, know better how to make a government, though.
I'm not sure if I agree with that. You might be right about that. They did do a great job in creating the Constitution, and they even made it a living Constitution. They were very clear about how they know that they're not going to be correct about everything in the future and that we should be able to amend it. But now everybody takes that Constitution like it's the Bible, and they don't want to amend anything. So at least they made a decent enough starting point that it created a country that became the most powerful country in the world, for sure. Yes, Fro, that was an eBay notification. Hopefully it's a purchase. So I'm selling stuff over here. My bad on that one. But all right, so let's get into the transgenderism. I wanted to talk about it a little bit because that's kind of like the hot topic these days. And I feel like it's the social issue.
You know what's funny is I was going to actually say we could just stay off this topic for today. To be honest, I was literally going to say that as the conservative. I was going to literally say we could stay off this topic today if you want.
Doesn't matter to me. What do you think? This is a bad topic for me or something? I think the civil rights movement is a good topic for the left because that's basically what this is a civil rights issue.
It may make me look like maybe I'm quote unquote hateful, I suppose.
Okay. All right. So what about gun control? Do you think America has a problem with gun control?
No. No.
So why are we the only country that has all these mass shootings?
Well, because we have guns. If you go to many other countries in the world, there would be just as much mass casualties. Maybe it's a bomb, maybe, whatever it might be. But
what? How do you figure? No, you're crazy. All these other countries have just as many guns as us. Canada has just as many guns as us. When's the last time there was a school shooting in Canada? They don't have 10 a year like us.
Right. I don't think that that's a problem of gun control, though.
Well, you're probably right about that. I think it's a problem of mental health. They stopped treating mental health a long time ago, and you could see the gun violence go up right at the point where they stopped treating mental health the way they used to. They just make people homeless now. They don't even treat it at all. And that has to do with tax intake because they're not taking in as many taxes, so they don't have the government money to spend to help people with mental disabilities because the rich people are buying off the congressmen, getting themselves tax cuts, and there's no money left. They're just hoarding it all.
Well, every single person has an opportunity in their life to help a person. So I don't necessarily think that that's what we need. I don't necessarily think that the government is a requirement there.
Okay. All right. Let me see what the next question the next topic that Richard suggested. This is a good one for you, but I think that you said it was a good one anyway. Who's the party of freedom and less government poking in personal matters, and why?
Well, this is one of the weirder questions on there. Actually, I thought. This one's a little bit more of a technically difficult question, I think.
Yeah, what exactly is freedom? So, what exactly is freedom? It's a little bit of a general term, so it is a hard question to answer. You could go to the next one, too. It says, who's the party that supports law and order?
This one's very easy. It's very much slanted against you, and I'm sorry about that.
Let me be very clear that I do not agree with the Democrats decriminalizing crime in many states. I think that was absolutely stupid. I think it's backfiring and they see it's stupid and they're afraid to say we were wrong.
Thank you.
Yeah, but when it comes to law and order, you don't see them going after the rich people. It's the rich people, the white collar crime that everybody gets away with. Trump scammed so many people with Trump University. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me explain what I was going to say in this argument, just in case you kind of took a different position, okay?
Okay.
Let's say that tomorrow there was a guy and he went and killed somebody, right? And he got caught by the cops, right?
Right.
He's a murderer. He killed somebody.
Sure.
Now, let's say we find out that this man got off with a 1-year prison sentence. Okay. Would you think that this was a liberal, Democratic judge or a conservative judge? I think the question is quite obvious, right?
Ooh, I don't know if judges swing like that. I hear what you're saying, and that you're saying that Democratic judges are more light on crime.
Very much so. There's very strong case for that. I think. There's YouTube channels that exist that talk about this exact thing. Yeah.
You might be right. I can't see, somebody getting off only 1 year for murder, but I really don't know the statistics
Well, that
behind
was
that.
just an example. I'm just
Sure,
saying,
sure.
as an example, like what would you think that judge would be? I mean, leave the crime alone, right?
All right, well, let me take it from this angle because this is the angle that I always look at it from, and I think it's the most important angle. And that is, it's people who are destitute, people who don't have money, people who are struggling, who are criminals. Almost always 90%, 95%, 99%. So when you're taking money away from the government by giving them to the rich people, and there's less services to help these people who are poor and in need, there's less jobs for them, there's less pay for the people who get the jobs, the minimum wage is lower, then that creates more crime. So giving more money to the people actually reduces crime.
Eh, I don't know. I don't think there's really much information about that right now, maybe.
There's, all right, I don't know. I mean, you can't deny that more poor people equals more crime, right? That's just
Right.
a fact.
That's a
So
fact.
if you're giving more money to the rich people, that means there are more poor people. So if a rich person, and you saw that CEO got killed by some random person on the street the other day, if a rich person is taking more and more money, they're actually making the world around them more dangerous because they're putting more poor people out there, and it makes their lives more dangerous.
I understand what you're saying, but I would say that I wouldn't look at it in such a like a direct exchange where like one person is giving money and one person is getting money. I wouldn't look at it as just like a one-to-one exchange. It's hard to really the systems at play here are going to be very intricate, I would say, and
It's,
I
it's
don't.
complicated. You're right.
I would say that just because a rich person gets a tax break, that doesn't necessarily mean that people that aren't well-to-do didn't also get some kind of tax break. There's a lot of complications, I think, in that area.
All right, let me check out the chat and see what you guys are saying. Thanks for hanging out with us for this debate. It's the first time we've done a political debate. A big shout out to Thompson for coming on the channel and debating with me. Very much appreciate that. Shout out to Hemmy's here. Troy Carthy, my buddy's here. He's a little bit there on the right there with Butt. Crazy Dave says, incorrect. Other countries have guns. Yeah, I agree. They have some countries have more guns per person than America. Ghost Slayer says, Vault sounds like he needs his spot on CNN or The View next to Whoopi. I love me some Whoopi Goldberg. Don't you dare say anything bad about her. What's up, Satish? Let's go. We got some Trumpsters in the chat. What's up, Rare Grimes? It's all good. I have no problem conversating and debating and hanging out with people who think differently about me when it comes to politics, and I think it's an interesting thing to talk about and also an important thing to talk about. Shout out to Froey Comey. We got Mauricio here. Am I talking too fast? Sorry about that. Shout out to BE. Says now there is a defund the FBI. That's not good either. Yeah, you got the left wanting to defund the police, and you got the right wanting to defund the FBI. So they're kind of both going against law and order when it comes to that. Bruin says, Butt is the guy that got me into VV. Me too. Butt was the number one influence that got me into VV. He was selling them on eBay, which got me attracted to it, and he was putting out a lot of work into his spreadsheet, which was super helpful. Nassar says, where does the money come from? What do you mean? Which money? The money comes from tax intake. All right, so, but I'll let you pick a topic. Is there any particular political topic you'd like to jump into?
What I'd love to talk about is everything. I mean, we got to work to the big topic because the big topic is going to be Trump versus Biden because we're going to have to dive into that. But
Absolutely.
I would love to brush up. I mean, if you want to talk, I mean, let's talk about the transgender stuff. But if you want to brush on the Ukraine-Russia conflict, I would love to brush on that as well.
Absolutely, and I'm seeing some comments in the chat about me being a Democrat, and like, have I not just spoken nothing but truths and facts? Like, what am I saying here that's controversial that you disagree with? Because all of this is factual. But all right, let's get into
Democrat for now. He'll be a centrist later, though.
exactly. So Russia and Ukraine, it's really strange to me that people on the right kind of support Russia on this. We know that Putin lined up all his military at the border of Ukraine while Trump was in office, and then, in my opinion, he waited until Trump was out of office to attack to make Joe Biden look bad.
Right. I would not say that I am necessarily like pro-Russia, but some stances I have could be perceived that way, just because of how kind of polarizing this issue is. I would say um, I have a very strong belief that, like, I wish Russia would win. Okay,
Okay, how come?
I wish Russia would win. Um, why? Well, quite frankly, there's an answer why. I think Russia will win. Okay, and I support Russia winning this war because look, if the United States had not sent any money to Ukraine, this war would have been over and less people would have died. So, on upon us sending the first check to help Ukraine, that was a direct result of more people dying. Right?
What does that have to do with Russia invading a sovereign country and taking over their land?
Well, okay. If you want to get into the relationship between Ukraine and Russia, we can do that.
Absolutely, I
Okay,
know plenty about it.
about it.
Please
What?
do. I know a lot about it. Let's get into it.
Okay.
I understand that the heart of Russia, the Russia began in the Ukraine area, but Ukraine is no longer a part of Russia. Uh-oh. Did I lose your butt? Oh no, I lost my butt. Come back, butt. No. Let me catch up with the chat. I like that topic a lot, Troy Carthy. Socialism versus capitalism. Troy, why don't you tell me, please, what you think socialism is? People use that word socialism all the time, and they have no clue what the definition is. Words have definitions. There is no such thing as a socialist country. No country is socialist. All right, you're back, but let me fix your camera
Yep.
real quick. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened.
No, I clicked back on my mouse and it
Okay.
went back on the page, so that was just my bad.
No problem. You were getting into the whole Russia-Ukraine stuff.
Yeah, I want to go deep here. Okay. Well, okay. So let's talk about this, right?
Sure.
Russia has already taken parts of Ukraine, right?
Crimea.
Crimea.
Sure.
Okay. Now let me ask you something.
Okay.
Where did Ukraine get Crimea from?
I don't know. Please inform me.
Crimea was given to Ukraine by Russia,
Okay. So
right?
that gives them a right to take it back by force?
Well, that's the interesting part, because that's where I would say it depends on if Russia had contingencies on that deal. And I am not sure necessarily the details of Russia gifting Crimea to Ukraine. But let's say, though, that there were contingencies and Ukraine broke those contingencies, right?
Okay.
Russia, in my opinion, would be warranted in something that would be seen as like a sovereign invasion, right? They would be warranted in that. So here's what I know. There's actually far more complexity going on here than meets the eye to the average American, because there are places in Ukraine where 90% of the population speaks Russia, and there's technically still under Ukrainian control, okay? And so when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine stuff, I know that there's very much complexity with this issue. And for that reason, makes it a little bit tricky for me to talk about it in some regards. But what I will say, though, so I will give you a little bit of a Trumpian answer and say that I want people to stop dying. And had Russia won, that would have happened.
Had Russia never invaded, a lot less people would have died. So what's your argument here? You're saying that Crimea, there was some negotiation and maybe there was some things that Ukraine broke, so they took Crimea back. Okay, fine. So now why are they attacking the rest of Ukraine? What's the reasoning for that?
Well, it depends. Like in my mind, you understand, like in my mind, let's say that certain contingencies were to be broken, right?
Okay. And we don't even know these contingencies. I mean, I feel like we're stretching
It
here.
would, yeah, I know exactly. That's why this issue is hard because there's a lot of unknown. But if these contingencies were broken, it would make sense for an even bigger response. I think so.
I think Russia's been pretty clear about it, and Satish pointed out here that their whole point of invading Ukraine was because they were threatening on joining NATO.
Right.
So how is them joining NATO a bad thing, and how is Russia able to use that as a reasoning to invade Ukraine?
Well, NATO would be considered Western influence, and they don't want a country that's their neighbor to have Western influence
All their other
involved.
neighbors are in NATO, like what,
Huh?
Poland? Half of their other neighbors are already in NATO too, but it's not their choice. It's not their country. It doesn't matter if this country wants to do something. They don't have any say in it. It's no longer their country. So you're saying that the Ukraine decided that they wanted to join NATO, and Russia said we don't want our neighbor to be in NATO, so we get to attack and kill your citizens and take over your country, and you think that's cool?
Well, I don't think Russia. I don't think Russia's military plan is to just go and kill citizens. I think they're just kind of fighting a conflict.
Okay. I don't know how to argue that. I mean, it's a war, so I think they are trying to kill citizens. I mean, of course, that's not their number one goal. Their goal is to gain
Right.
territory.
Right. That's not their number one goal at all. I don't think that's what they're set out to do here. I think they're set out to defeat Ukraine.
All right. So I still don't understand your reasoning. So what is, why do you think it's okay for Russia to invade Ukraine? Is it just because they broke some treaty in Crimea that you don't know the details of? Or it's
Well,
because they wanted to join NATO? And are either one of those even satisfactory to you for a country to invade another country? What if we said that we wanted to join some new NATO Part 2, and Mexico said, we don't want our neighbor to be in NATO Part 2, we're going to attack you? You think that's cool?
that's never going to happen. So it's a little bit tricky for me.
How about vice versa? Let's say Mexico says they want to join the new BRICS, and America says, we don't want Mexico to be in BRICS, so we're going to invade their country and try to take over their land and kill their citizens. Is that cool?
BRICS is like a financial,
Doesn't matter.
economics partnership. NATO involves much more
Doesn't
military.
matter. Doesn't make a
Yeah, it
difference.
doesn't matter.
How does that make a difference? The point is they're attacking for something that another country has decided to do. The same way that Russia is attacking Ukraine because of a decision they made. Economics affect people
Well,
just as much
okay,
as anything else.
but listen. So here's the problem. There's too much complexity in the situation that I don't understand. That's the problem.
Yes,
So I
it
can't
is very
necessarily,
complex.
I can't, I'm not a guy that's like an arbiter that gets to decide if somebody is doing something that's justified or not. There's too many details that are unknown to me. I can't be that guy.
All right, well, that's what I mean, I guess that's the stuff we need to know when it comes to this argument, because there has to be there has to be some really good justification for Russia to go in and kill people in Ukraine and try to take over their country. And I don't see that justification anywhere. I'm looking for it, but I'm not hearing it. I don't see it. Just because Ukraine decided to join NATO, or because apparently they broke some type of treaty that we don't even know about, that's not good justification, in my opinion, for one country to invade another sovereign country.
Well, do you know what having NATO, okay, let me ask you this. Do you know what Ukraine joining NATO would entail?
They would have more protection whenever they get attacked.
Right.
So
And
Russia wants to keep them weak by not joining NATO, so that when they do try to take over, they don't have NATO doesn't have their back.
would they be selling, would NATO be sending weaponry to the region though?
Yes, most
Yeah,
likely.
exactly. Though, like, I don't think they want NATO weaponry.
To protect themselves, they don't want Ukraine to have weaponry to protect themselves because they want to invade them. Yes, and I don't think that's a moral thing. I think Ukraine should be allowed to protect themselves, and since they are not as big as Russia, their military is not as big. That's why they want NATO to have their back.
Well, they are allowed to protect themselves. That's what they're doing now.
Right, you just don't want them to have a big enough army or enough supplies to really stop Russia from invading. You just want them to fight back and get killed. I mean, that doesn't make sense. They want to have enough military force that they can protect themselves and defend themselves from Russia. If they're just going in without NATO, then they're way smaller and they get demolished.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm on Ukraine's side because I put myself in their position. If I was a Ukrainian, I would want also for us to join NATO because I would be afraid that Russia's coming in to kill me and my family.
Right. You understand? Okay, let me give you an example, okay?
Sure.
Let's take an example and let's go to like a country that they fight big animals, okay? I don't even know what big country to use as an example here, okay?
Okay.
I think in India they have Bengal tigers, right? Let's say that Bengal tigers were like killing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is in the year, 110 AD, so, well before any society. If somebody wanted to get revenge on the lions, what would they do back in the year 110 AD?
Probably go at them with some spears or something.
Right. So I don't necessarily think it's right for Ukraine to have an outsized government or to have an outsized army, we'll say, right? That's what I should say. I don't think there's a reason for it, so I don't know why. Like, if they're having a problem with Russia, you can industrialize and make your own weapons. It's not impossible. Why do you
Sure, it's
need
going to
help?
take decades, but why not just go ahead and fast forward to that by joining with the United Nations? Or with NATO, I mean. I mean, they're doing what's best for
Because
them. They're trying to protect your
your
life.
neighbor
You got to
your
survive,
neighbor doesn't want you to join NATO.
right? But you want to survive, and that's more important.
Right. But the person that you want to survive from is that same person, your same neighbor. You understand?
No, do not understand it at
So
all.
you need to come to terms with your neighbor. Joining NATO isn't going to help your conflicts because you don't want to turn this into a situation where you have like Palestine versus Israel.
Sure, maybe if they're friendly already, but they're already at war, and he's already got his military at your border. So now you definitely want to join NATO because he's threatening you. I mean, come on. So you're just gonna say, all right, we got Russia tanks at our border, but we're not gonna join NATO because I don't know, I don't really understand your reasoning because Bengal Tigers and 110 because this is what we have that we shouldn't get extra by joining NATO because the people that are attacking us don't want us to. I mean, it makes no sense because the people that are attacking you, of course, they don't want you to have more military power because then you can defend yourself. What's wrong with wanting to defend your life?
You can't join NATO if you are in a conflict, which could be why they're in a conflict.
That's why it might have been why Russia created the conflict to stop NATO from
Right.
joining. Yeah, absolutely. But the point is, if I was Ukraine, I would want help defending myself. And I'm still not understanding your point as to why. Let me ask you: if you were a Ukrainian, you would not want your country to join NATO when you got Russia at your border attacking? To keep what? To keep your neighbor happy?
Most of the people, well, okay, I can't really say, okay, I'm not Ukrainian, but what I will tell you is I would much prefer to come to terms with my neighbor, considering there's cities where 90% of the people speak the language of that neighbor. I would much prefer coming to terms with my neighbor than joining NATO, okay?
Got it. Yeah, yeah, I understand
On
completely.
top
So
of that, you need to understand that Russia has the second most nuclear weapons in the world. So how about if you were to be friends with your neighbor, you would like you're getting the protection you want.
well,
You
they're not
understand?
friends. They got their military at their border. They're not friends. Shout out to Troy Carthy, says Vault's talking about defending one's life but wants to take guns away. Not only did I never say I wanted to take guns away, Democrats have never ever said anything about taking guns away. Maybe assault rifles. I think it makes sense to take assault rifles away. I think it makes sense to screen people before they get guns, and you can't just throw them out, hand them out easily. But I'd never said you should take guns away.
There's definitely been Democrats that have talked about taking guns away, so...
Maybe some crazy left-wingers, yeah. Well, I mean, there's always extremes on both sides. All right, let's get off of the Russia-Ukraine thing. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one, but at least we both made our points on it.
But, like, my whole point on it is just simply that I want less people to die. I don't necessarily have a side in the war. The only side I'm on is the side where less people die. That's it.
Okay, so if Russia stopped invading right now, would less people die? Are you for, then, the answer is obviously yes, so then are you for Russia stopping the invasion right now?
Well, I'm for them stopping it, personally, but the problem is if they haven't done what they've set out to do, well, then they might not, in their interest, from their perspective, they might not find that very beneficial for them at the moment.
All right, absolutely. Big A says we should invade Canada because we also speak mostly the same language. I see your point. Richard says it sounds like mafia friendship. Jeff says my neighbor speaks English, so I'm going to go into his house without his permission. Ray Graham says assault rifles are necessary in some regions. Which regions? And what are they necessary for? Please explain. Split says,
I don't know about that.
Split says exactly. Peeps. Oh, sorry, a little loud there. Peeps always say taking all guns away. Yeah, nobody has ever said they want to take all guns away. Adam says create a department for guns like the DMV. Take a test to show you know basic. Yeah, absolutely. I like that idea. You should take a test that you know basic gun skills, but also some mental tests so we aren't giving guns to people with mental health issues. It seems like a lot of these. Almost all of these mass shooters or school shooters end up being on some type of medication because they have mental disabilities or mental problems, and those are the people that shouldn't be getting guns. Now, of course, they're not always the ones that go and buy the guns. Sometimes they get them from their parents, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about that except for getting rid of assault rifles, so at least they don't have that advantage if they're going in shooting up a place. But okay, so let's get into the transgender stuff a little bit. I think it's interesting. I don't know, because it seems to me like it started off with the transgender stuff, and people on the right, it's something really, really different. Anytime something really different comes along, they hate it automatically, which is fine. It's a part of fear, and but they seem to have gone all the way back to where they hate gay people in general. They're going after Target because Target started up like a pride display, and I've always thought that gay people like. Homosexuality is natural. If you go in and you look up what percentage of lions are gay, it's like 8.5%. And you go look up what percentage of dolphins are gay, it's like 10.8%. You look up almost any species ever, it's around 10%.
We got to slow down.
Okay, what's up?
We've already got to slow down. You've already said some things I would disagree with.
Go for it.
Are people born gay? Is that what you think?
I 100% believe it's natural. It's natural in the rest of the animal kingdom. Any species you look at is about 10% gay, with one exception. For some reason, penguins are 25% gay. I don't know why, but the rest are around 10%. Penguins are just hella gay.
I don't agree with you.
That's a fact. Look it up.
No, it's not a fact. You're confusing humans with other animals. We're human beings.
That's not the point.
Did you know that 50% of gay men were molested as children?
Do you have a source? Sounds like right wing crap. Give me a source on that. I'll look it up right now.
You can look it up if you don't believe it. I didn't bring sources to my information.
That's all right. We can look it up, and I can pull it up on the screen too if necessary.
Sure.
All right, we'll just go straight into the comparative data of National Library of Medicine. Hopefully, all my sound is working here. Actually, I need to add you real quick. Let me add your sound.
Google it, like what percentage of gay people were molested, right?
All right, how to add you real quick. Okay, so comparative data of childhood and adolescence molestation in heterosexual and homosexual persons. Man, that's trying to find it. I'll go in here and do some research and see if this is true. I mean, a lot of these stats pop up, and they pop up in memes and GIFs on Twitter, and they're right-wing stats, and they're completely untrue. I've never heard that, and it sounds fake to me. Okay, so what should I look up, because I'm not seeing it right now? What percentage of homosexuals were molested? Let's
Well,
see.
what I'm finding is that 50% of homosexual men, in contrast with 7% of heterosexual men, reported homosexual molestation.
See right here, 30%. And that is not even molestation. That's just sexual contact before the age of 16 years. Males, gays, 30%. And that's not even molestation. So I believe your stats
I think you're looking. I know you're looking up the wrong stuff. That's why
well, what
I
would you like
pulled
for me
up
to
the
look up?
study.
If you want to give me
I
the
just
link,
had it pulled up just now.
feel
You're
free to
looking
pull
at
it
the
up.
wrong stuff.
Pull it up, send me the link, I will pull it up. I want to investigate. That's what it's all about. You got to do your own research. So find me the link, find me that stat. We'll look it up and we'll find out if it's true. I'm looking up the stat right here from openpsychologyjournal.com, which is probably not left or right wing, most likely. Splint says, are flamingos also 10%? Let's find out. What percentage of flamingos are gay? I'm telling you, they're almost all around 10%, which shows that it is natural. And another thing that people talk about, they're not giving me flamingo gay stats, unfortunately. People talk about when it comes to gay, homosexuality, even transgenderism, that it's all about sex and that we shouldn't be talking about this with kids because it's all sex-based. But I don't believe that's true because I have seen kids before that are really young and are like a boy that's super feminine. The way you look at him, you're like, that kid's going to grow up to be gay, no doubt. And that kid knows nothing about sex, never been like molested or anything. He's just naturally that way. Would you agree that that's the case in some people?
I don't know. I'm not sure what you said.
So Wu says, Vault will look up facts but still call BV NFTs. Hey now, I said that VV are kind of NFTs. No, all right, so I don't know. So you want to talk about a different topic then?
No, we can talk about it. I mean, we haven't even gone into it.
No, absolutely. So what really gets interesting for me is that it seems like they're trying to separate sex from gender, and I don't necessarily know if I 100% agree with it. I'm definitely not.
Oh, actually, we need to go backwards. You're skipping over some things you said.
Sure, go ahead. Anything you want to talk about, I'm down for whatevs.
I think one thing that you're certainly very confused about is the right-wing perspective, because I don't think any right-winger in this day and age has a real problem with the first three letters of the LGBT movement at all. I think that the problem is the transgender movement associated with pride. When people are protesting pride, I don't think they're protesting for the way that you have suggested.
Good. I hope that's right. And I think that's where we go. That's where we have been before this all came up in the recent years. But it seems like people are kind of like regressing when it comes to the right. Now they're kind of lumping in gay people with transgenderism. Like I said, they're mad about Target having a pride display.
Hold on. The left wing has lumped in the T into the LGBT movement. That was not the right wing that did that, okay? Don't try and pretend like the right wing added the T to the LGBT movement. That is not the case, okay?
Right, and you don't think it belongs there?
I don't think it belongs there. There can be a separate movement because I have no problem respecting homosexuals.
Yeah, and it's really strange to me because, of course, I'm not a transgender person. I don't know any transgender persons. But when I think about it, I think about how there have been so many stories in the past, in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, even back into history of men dressing up like women. What is it about it that's always happened? And it's almost like it's a natural thing for some reason. These people who want to dress up as the other sex, it comes to them naturally because it's like nobody would want to do it. Maybe some people would want to do it for attention. There are attention seekers out there, but since it's been around for so long, I almost feel like there's something natural there, and there's just people out there who want to dress a different way. And of course, it doesn't affect us.
Are you talking about Mrs. Doubtfire?
No, even further back than Mrs. Doubtfire. No. There's like, I don't know any particular stories, but we've heard stories of people dressing up in women's clothes. Like, wives would always be like, my man wears my panties and stuff like that. Like, that's been around since the 80s and 70s, so it's not like this is a new thing. However, now that transgenderism is becoming more mainstream, I am seeing personally, even here in Indiana, more and more people coming out that are men dressed as women. So here's the thing that Republicans seem to feel on this topic, and tell me if you agree. They feel like you can do whatever you want. They're even like okay with transgenderism. Most of them, they're like, do whatever you want. Of course, don't mess with my kids, whatever. But don't expect me to believe that you are what you are saying you are. So if they see a man dressed as a woman, they want to be able to call that person a man. And that's a slippery slope, because what will end up happening is a regular guy who has long hair, not transgender at all, they can just pretty much go up and say, no, you're a girl. And they're just going to be going around misgendering people that aren't even transgendered. So you kind of just, you can't do that. You can't do that for society.
I don't think the world had much problems in the 90s. So I don't really think that what you're describing would be a problem, because what you're describing would have happened in the 90s. I don't know. I think that you're kind of a little bit misled a little bit, because I think from a right-wing perspective, it might be a little bit of what you're saying, but it might also be that there are some people on the right wing that have a perspective that really more so says, I don't want stuff, like, I don't want to learn about stuff that I don't want to learn about. Like, you can try to force me to learn about it, but I don't want to learn about some stuff. And if I don't want to learn about that, I don't want people to force it down my throat, so to speak, right?
Sure.
So I think that you've got to understand that that's a huge part of the right wing, is people that are saying, I don't want stuff shoved down my throat.
Okay. I mean, they have their own channels that they watch. If they're not watching anything other than Fox News and OAN, they're probably not going to hear anything about it. But when they go out in the real world, these people
say
exist.
That, but here's the problem, though. You say that. The problem is that this movement slowly pops up in different areas. And so it pops up in places you wouldn't expect, like Target, right? Like Bud Light.
And like so Disney. Like, and do you understand why? It's because the people who work for these companies make the calculation that there are more people out here that relate to this, who are okay with this, than there are that are anti-woke. They have to make that calculation. It's a business. It has to be.
Stop. So you would say Bud Light is doing really well right now? That's what you would say?
The Bud Light thing is, all they did was put it wasn't even a commercial or nothing. It was this own transgender person's Instagram, one post on their Instagram. It was so tiny and so light, like that's not even in their calculation, because they didn't expect it to be a big deal like it is. People just blew it up because mostly right-wingers drink Bud Light.
How is Bud Light doing, though?
Well, it's mostly right-wingers that drink Bud Light, so it was really stupid of Bud Light to do that, because those are the only people that drink it. There's no left-wingers drinking Bud Light.
But I thought you said that they thought that there was more to gain from that.
I just explained to you that that's not the point here, because they were just doing a one little post. It wasn't supposed to be national. It was just one post on this person's Instagram, and they probably assumed that only other transgender people that follow that person, that girl or that lady or whatever, would see it.
You got to understand.
That's different than Target.
No. You've got to understand that people, like I told you, people aren't expecting it to pop up in random places, okay? And it popped up in a random place.
So why are they following Dylan Mulvaney on Instagram?
Listen to me. Bud Light does not have a track record of supporting similar things, okay?
Sure.
And so it was out of nowhere to people.
But how would they even see it if they weren't looking at their Instagram? I mean, it was aimed at her followers, and they don't expect right-wingers to be following her. They just happen to blow it up.
It's going to get picked up by Fox News. Yes, I know that.
Because they tried to make the narrative that it was like some national campaign when it really wasn't, and that's what people got upset about. But, I mean, I can see why, if you're a Bud Light drinker and you don't like transgender people, that this would upset you, I guess.
It's not even, no, but you got to understand that it's not even that you don't like transgender people. Like I told you, it's about people not wanting to be subjected to having this.
Like you said, they don't want to put it in their face. And they don't want to put it in their face. And this was not on Fox News. This ain't a commercial. This was on Dylan Mulvaney's own Instagram to her own followers. This is not put in their face until they put it out and put it in their face for them.
And then it's on Twitter, and people aren't going on Twitter, and then bang.
It was the right-wingers that were putting on Twitter to complain about it. They're the ones putting it in each other's faces. Bud Light didn't put it in their faces. They put it in Dylan Mulvaney's followers' faces only.
Because there's people that want Bud Light to get shamed for what they've done, because they probably disagree more adamantly.
Sure, because they're probably somebody who drinks Bud Light all the time. So yeah, you're right. That's why they were upset about it, and that's not a smart move on Bud Light's place, and that's why the person, the campaign manager who came up with that, got fired. It was not a smart move. But when you look at a bigger company like Target, taking a stand and deciding that they want to have a pride display, that 100% is a calculation, a business calculation that they make, that they expect that more people are okay with it than people are against it.
I think that, you see, like, if we're gonna kind of tear this back to like the overarching transgender issue,
Sure.
it is really, like I said, I mean, it's fundamentally really about just the fact that there's a lot of people that think, hey man, if you want to do your thing, if you want to be like a deer person or a unicorn person in your own house, go ahead and do it.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot of people that will tell you that they just don't want to learn about that stuff. They don't want it in their faces. Now, I know what you're saying. It was on just this person's Instagram. That doesn't change the fact that it got in people's faces, though. You can blame the right wing or the left wing that it got in people's faces. That's besides the point, too, because it ended up in their faces. And now these people didn't want it in their faces, okay? And so now you have a problem.
Yeah, and it was a bad move by Bud Light for sure, but I don't think it was aimed to be put in those people's faces. It just happened to blow up the way it did. Excuse me. But what people seem to really get upset about when it comes to this topic is teaching it to children. And I think it was you. It might have been your video. It was your video. You put something out about it, and I replied to it at first saying they don't teach that in the schools. And then I went and researched it and realized that they did teach it, and I had to delete my comment because they are teaching not transgenderism. They're teaching the separation of
Gender
sex
ideology.
and gender.
We'll just call it
Ideology.
gender ideology.
And the question is it a good thing or a bad thing that this is being taught? Is this something that is the future? Are we separating sex from gender? I don't have a big problem with it. I definitely have a problem with people that were born of a different sex competing in athletic sports. So if you're a man and you're pretending to be a woman, you can go compete in women's sports. And I say pretending because, sure, there will be some transgenders that will do that, but there's going to be people who game the system. They will pretend to be transgender, and you can't say this man dressed up like a woman is a real transgender, and this man dressed up like a woman is not a real transgender. So it's a slippery slope. So you got to be careful whenever it comes to this whole topic. And I don't necessarily know that we need to be teaching kids so young. Maybe at the high school level we can get into that, because at this point it's almost theoretical.
I agree. I think that in the world that we're in right now, it feels like we're trying to rush and get an answer for something that will take quite a bit more time to kind of flesh out. So I think that in general, I think most people are really trying to kind of like fast forward time. And that's kind of annoying, right? For some people.
It's liberals in college, they always do that with every subject.
Everybody wants to fast forward a little bit of time. So, they want to have this figured out where there's some kind of even playing field when it comes to sports, and it makes sense. But I think that will take more time than people have given that granted for. Mm-hmm. And so I think generally right now, I think most people, quite frankly, I think the topic is a little bit too inflamed right now. I think time needs to progress. I don't think people are respecting that enough. I think people need to respect the fact that sometimes time does need to progress. And then it doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left, but I think time needs to progress here. And there's going to be these little battles every couple months for years until that day comes. I think we're going to probably run into these battles every, couple months, maybe a couple a year. And I think that'll happen for years to come until we've given this enough time to marinate with people and decide what's the correct way forward.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's a good point that Soul Will made here, because he asks me and you both to define sex and gender. And I don't think we can, especially when it comes to gender. And the fact that those definitions are not solid yet is why we shouldn't be teaching them to children, at least in elementary at this point.
I agree with your sentiment. When I was in school, I took sex ed when I think I was in 8th grade. And so I think that's an appropriate time to have a sex ed course whenever I did, because I didn't feel like it was weird. So I think however old I was is fine.
All right, let's get this misconception out of the way, though. This is not sex ed that I'm talking about that is being taught to our
Right.
children right now. The gender ideology that I've seen that is actually being taught to our kids is things like when
The
you say
things
good
about
hello in the morning, you don't say boy or girl, something like that. You know, it's really small stuff, but
right.
still, it's an ideology and it's theoretical. And I think it's a little too early to be putting it in our kids' heads until we understand it better and until people can define the genders. So let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into not this year's, but the next presidential election. One of the topics we were going to discuss today was Joe Biden versus Donald Trump when it comes to, I guess, either who's been a better president or who will be a better president in the future. Now,
Yeah, I thought this was the big topic.
yeah,
This was the big topic.
yeah, let's do it. You ready?
Yeah, I'm very ready.
All right, so in my personal opinion, they're both too old. Now, if it comes down to Biden versus Trump, those are the two nominees. I'm definitely, of course, going to vote for Biden. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Donald Trump is a literal con man. If you haven't figured out that Donald Trump is a literal con man, you need to change the channel. You're not getting the proper news because it's super obvious at this point. However, I wouldn't want to vote for either one of them. I think they're both way too old. If I could pick any politician in the country to be president, I would go with Katie Porter. If I could pick any current politician who is considering running, it would be between Kennedy and Cornel West. Where do you stand, Butt?
I think a lot of those people you just named, I wouldn't necessarily consider them very intelligent, especially not Katie Porter. I agree that they're both probably too old. I think that we can come to agreement on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I
made a tweet just the other day, and I said, in my lifetime, we're going to see the first president in a hover-round scooter. Because if we continue at this pace, I could see us having a president like in a power card.
Yeah, true.
If we keep going the way we're going, at least.
Yep.
I think both presidents are too old. I think Trump is the best presidential choice available to us.
How do you
If I got to pick any president, I would go back in time and pick Ron Paul as president.
The problem with that's a libertarian. I mean, libertarians are kind of crazy, but all right, go ahead. I won't interrupt you.
No, that's really all I was going to say is that I would pick Ron Paul. I think Trump is the best candidate, though, and I have a lot of reasons why.
Let's hear them.
All right. Well, I'd like to kind of not even get into it or like immediately, right? Immediately, okay? I would like to say this. Earlier today, I was looking at the tweets you were sending out, and one tweet you sent out, you had talked about how Trump was, I don't know if you said he was running to enrich himself,
Yes.
Something along those lines, right?
Sure. Yes, everything he did, everything that he did while he was in office were only things that helped him personally. Or if it came to anything that they suggested to him that didn't directly benefit him, he was not interested whatsoever. He is a clear person who suffers from narcissistic personality disorder, and it's super obvious. Nasara, please explain to me, Nasara. Why don't you give me some details of what you can understand?
Let me disagree with you immediately.
Sure.
When Trump took office, his net worth was $4.5 billion.
Based on what? He won't show his financials. He says it's
No,
4.5 billion. He also says he is a genius.
No. These are facts, okay? These are facts.
What's
Not
the source?
making this up.
Where's your source?
No, listen. Trump's net worth before taking office was $4.5 billion.
Based on what?
After taking office, his net worth was $2.1 billion.
How do you know if he doesn't show his financials?
He has shown his financials.
No, he has not.
Talking about this, these are facts. I know you hate them, but it's kind
not
of
true. Well, show me the source.
You are literally disagreeing with facts. Like, that's frustrating.
Send me the source, DM me the link, and I will pull it up here and we can look at it. Is this coming from foxnews.com?
Just Google it. Tell me.
Just give me the
Did
link.
Trump
Just
get
send me the
rich?
link. I shouldn't have to
Trump get
Google it
more
myself. You're
wealthy
reading
and
something right here. Give me the link that you're reading. Just send it over in DM and I will look at it, because how can you know somebody's how much they're worth if they won't tell you how much taxes they paid, or they won't give you any clear information? He lies about everything, so why would you believe that? He lies about literally everything. He says he's a genius, but he literally sued his schools to not show his grades. If he's a genius, then why is he afraid to show his grades? If he's rich, then why is he afraid to show his finances? He doesn't show his finances, and then he tells you it's 4.5 billion, and you just believe it. I don't understand how Republicans believe everything without proof. I need proof.
Look, these are the facts as they are, okay?
Okay?
So you hate that.
No, I don't hate it. I just want a source.
Look. You can tell me what you want. It's pretty obvious when somebody is half as wealthy as they were, okay? Trump is half as wealthy as he was, okay? So answer this again now. Is Trump running to get wealthy?
Well, I wouldn't say that Trump is a logical person. He's definitely running for personal gain, but it might be more for his legacy than it is his bank account. I don't know. I don't live in his head.
For his legacy?
Yeah.
You're telling me he's running just to be able to say that he's a two-time president or something?
100%, because he lost and he's running to win. He hates losing. He wants to come back and defeat Joe Biden and say, look, I won. That's all it is. It's all narcissistic personality disorder. 1,000%. That's why he cannot admit that he lost, even though he has no proof.
You're being absurd here. You're being absurd here. There's no evidence of what you're saying.
There's no evidence of what you're saying.
No. There's no evidence of what you're saying, okay? Here, listen to me, okay?
Yes, what is there not evidence? What did I say that there's not evidence of?
How do you know that Trump is not running for the presidency to make life better for Americans? You don't know that?
Because he was already in office for 4 years and he didn't make life. He was in office for 4 years and he didn't do anything to make our lives better. He gave tax cuts to the rich. What did he do? What did he do?
Yes, he did.
What did he do?
Do you really want me to say?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, how much stuff do you want me to go over? Okay.
I don't care. Anything.
Started, and he said he was going to set out to build the wall, and he did that. He started doing that. I mean, building a wall is going to take an exorbitant amount of time, and nobody would have expected it to be done instantly unless he went down.
And Mexico would pay for it. What about Mexico? Right. Did they pay for it?
No. That's because he was just literally spouting off of the mouth, which is what he does.
You mean lying?
Huh?
You mean lying? He was lying.
No.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Okay.
Because it's not a lie if that's what he was intending to do. Okay, you understand that, right? You understand.
No. Just like
No. You know. It's not lying if he was intending to do that. It's not a lie.
That's bullcrap. Okay. I'll tell you why. Because he literally said before the election, the first time he was elected, everybody will have health care and it will be cheaper. Do you really think he was intending to do that? He didn't do anything towards that. He did not. Then why, when he was in office and he had the Senate that was all Republican and he had the House of Representatives that was all Republican and he could have passed any legislation that he wanted, why didn't he do anything about health care? He said he was going to. He intended to. He lied. That's a lie.
He did do stuff about health care.
What did he do?
You can look at Trump's website if you want. I'm not going to go
don't look at Trump's website. Why don't you just give me some facts?
There are facts. They're on his website. I was looking at it today. There's a lot.
If it's Trump's website, it's probably a bunch of trash. I'm going to look it up with government statistics.
Exactly. You're scared. You're scared.
What? I'm scared to look at Trump's facts? The guy who lies about everything?
And then guess what? If you have a disagreement, then you can look into it. But you're so scared that you won't even look into what he has to say and then fact check it because you don't even want to be exposed to it.
What are you talking about?
First, because you're scared.
Scared of what? Scared of looking at the stats, the amount of the deficit that went up while he was in office?
What? Look at what you're scared to see what he says.
What am I scared to see what he says? How am I scared to see what he says? I'm telling you what he says about healthcare. You're telling me what he says about the wall. He didn't do much else about the wall. What else did he do while he was in office? What is it that I'm scared of? I don't understand that.
I mean, we can go into a lot. He signed the Farm Bill, okay?
Okay. That sounds decent.
He signed the Farm Bill.
I think it helped. It mostly helped the manufacturer farmers. It didn't help all the little guys.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, do you have any facts to back that up? I don't have any facts to back up my claim. We'd have to research
Yeah,
that. So we did pass
I
the
go
farm
to a
bill.
store. Yeah, I have facts to back it up. I go to a store in my neighborhood that's able to sell the products they are able to sell because of the 2018 Farm Bill. Yes, I have
How did that
facts.
change the products they were able to sell? I don't know much about the bill. I know that when Joe Biden is in office right now, the GDP is up. Unemployment is lower than it's ever been. Consumer confidence is higher than it's ever been. Wages are up. Joe Biden's economy is crushing, and even the people on the right admit that. How is it not? How am I wrong? That everybody, that's a legit. I mean, even people in Fox News say that.
Yeah, every president talks about their debt and their deficit when they're in office. Exactly. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. None of the stuff none of these accomplishments that you're very proud of Biden. Every single president says that stuff. And guess what? It doesn't mean anything for any presidents. Yeah, you're getting fooled. They're kind of doing that thing with a kid, like a little kid, where you just kind of dangle keys in front of his face and he becomes happy. You're kind of falling for the keys in your face.
What are you talking about? This is the national deficit and the debt. How does that not matter? What matters to you then? What matters to you? The farm bill?
None of the deficit numbers that any president talks about matters.
How
And
does
when
it
a
not
president
matter? It's
says,
our
"Oh,"
national debt.
Every single president, when they leave office, they're going to say, "Oh, I did great on the unemployment." Guess what? When Donald Trump left office, unemployment was really, really good for Black people, Mexicans, and any other.
No, it wasn't. It was during the pandemic. The unemployment was the worst it's
better?
ever been. It was during the pandemic
Joe
when he left
Biden
office.
is doing better, though?
Yes, it is a fact. The unemployment was not good under Trump when he left office. We had a pandemic.
Has that stuff. If any of that stuff mattered, the world would be a utopia right now. None of that stuff matters. I'm promising you. You're falling for the.
Then what matters, bud? Tell me what matters then. What really matters?
None of those things matter.
Okay, so what matters?
You shouldn't be voting.
Why don't you tell me? Why don't you
voting.
just stop and tell me what matters? If that doesn't matter, then what is it that matters?
What I'll tell you is that if you're voting based on the federal budget,
then
you're
what should
voting for the wrong reason.
Okay, then what reason should we be voting for?
Based on the deficit.
Okay, so tell me what matters then.
What matters are the issues that matter to a normal person.
Which
okay?
are? Tell me what they are.
And the deficit doesn't matter. Let me give you some examples, okay?
Okay.
The Farm Bill of 2018, that allows me to go to the store and buy stuff I would have never had the chance of buying, okay? Donald Trump got 3 of my favorite rappers out of prison. Tell me, how many rappers has Joe Biden gotten out of prison? Just tell me, how many rappers has Joe Biden gotten out of prison? Tell me the name of the rapper, because you're going to say, oh, he got 3 out. Tell me the names of the rappers then.
Bro, you literally think that getting 3 rich people out of prison is more important than our national debt? Who gives a shit if you like them or not?
That I like
It's
listening
3
to.
rich people.
Which is why I should vote depending on that, because those are things that matter to me, not the deficit. Do you understand?
That makes no sense. That makes no sense, but Thompson, that 3 people that you don't even know, 3 rich people getting out of jail is more important to you than the national deficit.
I enjoy.
So
they make
what?
music I enjoy.
Who gives a crap?
They can make more music now.
Who cares? That's 3 people. We're talking about our national debt, man. What are you talking about?
Not every single person in the world makes music, you fool. There's not that many artists out there. I am happy when my artists aren't in prison.
Wow, I really can't go anywhere with that. How is it? Okay. All right. So the lives of 3 rich rappers is far more important than our national economy.
And that's why I should vote based on that, the stuff that I care about in life, okay? If my taxes go down, I'm going to be happy, okay? If my taxes go down, all right?
What are the name of the rappers, but what are the name of those rappers?
You really don't know? Kodak Black, Lil Wayne, you don't know?
Lil Wayne? He got Lil Wayne out of prison. Donald Trump got Lil Wayne out of prison.
Yeah.
Is that true, Chad? I'll look that. I don't think I did hear Kodak Black, but come on, we're talking about 3 people compared to the whole entire country here. Their debt, the economy. To you, 3 rappers' lives, or not even their lives, their freedom. 3 rappers, rich rappers' freedoms is more important to you than the national economy.
Yes, because every president talks about it, and it doesn't actually influence my life in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to vote on things that influence my life.
See, you don't understand how the budget influences your life because you're not paying attention. But the budget, the national budget influences your life. It determines how much money is spent on things that you use, whether it's the roads, whether it's the hospitals, whether it's the military.
Since I've been born, it doesn't matter.
It does matter. Just because you don't see it directly doesn't mean it doesn't matter.
And you think that the Democrats are going to be the ones to fix that? No. That's absurd.
I just proved it. I just proved it. Look at it. Bush Sr. left office
with
the deficit.
Yeah, you're talking about the presidents. You're talking about the presidents that had to, trust me, bro, those amounts that you're talking about that the presidents were able to cut aren't going to make even a tiny dent in the deficit, okay?
Because a Republican keeps coming and pumping it back up. You see, the Democrats bring it down, and if it was another Democrat, maybe we'd keep going down. But then we get a Republican, and they give another rich tax break, and it brings the deficit back up. That's the point. Democrats bring it down, Republicans bring it up. There's no way to deny it. It's a fact. And you're more concerned about rappers getting out of prison.
Understand, I'm far more libertarian when it comes to economics. So you got to understand that you can't pigeonhole me in some kind of conservative viewpoint, because I really am I'm not necessarily right wing as much as I am libertarian, okay?
Okay, so here's the thing with libertarians is they believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that
government should be exploded.
Yeah,
yes.
That government is the problem, but also that they should get rid of government. So who fixes the problem? Because in my opinion, libertarians are halfway right. Government is the problem, but government is also the only solution. Private corporations don't give a crap about you or your life, and you can't vote out a CEO. The government will work if you take money out of politics. It's set up by our forefathers to work the way it's supposed to. The fact is it's been corrupted by money. The whole idea here that
Can I ask you a question?
No. Let me finish the thought here. Let me finish the thought. But the whole idea that the mainstream media on the right here is for people to hate the government so that they want the government to have less money, which means less taxes for the wealthy, because they're the ones that have to pay the most in taxes because they make the most. So it's all a trick by the rich to get the poor people to help them get more money, and they fall right for it. Shout out to HPT Boy. Thank you for the super chat. I know you were talking about possibly coming on here for a debate as well, maybe next week if you're interested. You see how this one's going, so you let me know. But go ahead, bud. Sorry to cut you off, but that's a very important point to make, because it's all demonizing the government is all about rich people getting more tax breaks.
Let me ask you.
Sure.
You're really concerned about corruption.
Yes.
Now let me ask you something. Is the system more corrupt today, or was it more corrupt in the 1800s? And by what percentage is it more corrupt? I would like your answer.
Man, I have no idea what was going on in the 1800s. I would say it's probably more corrupt now, because there's more people that are doing backdoor deals. There's more money that gets lost. I always said, and on my streams all the time, that I hope they have a national cryptocurrency, and that, I don't want them to get rid of fiat, but I want a cryptocurrency for our money, our taxes, so that everybody can see where all that money goes, and if anything gets lost, we can trace it.
I don't like that idea.
You're okay with people stealing money from the government? Because I want to trace it. All I want to do here.
Idea.
Huh?
I hate that idea. I've given money to my friends, and I do not want to report that on my taxes. I don't think that's fair.
Well, I didn't say get rid of fiat. I mostly want government spending to be cryptocurrency, so it's on the blockchain.
You're on a slippery slope, though, because eventually it may lead to the destruction of fiat, even if you introduce it. So you're on a slippery slope here, okay? Because if you introduce it alongside fiat, that doesn't necessarily mean that fiat isn't just going to eventually be worked out anyways. And I want to be able to give people money without the government taxing me for that, or like even I don't even want the government looking in to what I'm doing with money I have earned, okay?
Well, you have to pay taxes, so they have to know about the money that you earned. So you don't want to have to pay taxes?
I have to pay taxes on money I give to my friend?
No, I don't think you have to pay taxes on that. But you said money that you earned, so that the government does have to keep track of, so that they know how much to charge you for taxes, right?
I'm not talking about anything to do with like your wages. I really only am referring to
Yeah, I don't think
being
that
able
should
to
be
give
taxed.
people
Gifts.
money without people knowing. I don't want people to know about me giving people money. You can tell me all you want. If it's on crypto, people are going to know about me giving people money. I don't want people to know about me giving anybody money. That's actually a big deal to me. Okay. I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing with my money.
Yeah, if it's a personal thing, that's fine. But when it comes to like giving politicians money, that should always be tracked. And right now, you got a lot of people doing dark money. Dark money is legal. You're allowed to give politicians money without saying who you are. I don't think that should be legal. But I agree with you. Yeah, giving money to your friends should not be taxed at all. And I don't think it is it?
A majority of politicians get out of office and they're far richer than their salary would have allowed.
Right, and that's because money in politics. And then we were talking about how I believe money in politics is the most important problem in the world. Do you agree that money in politics is a big problem with American government?
I don't think it's as big of a problem as you do. That's for sure.
I think it's definitely the number one most. I mean, that's why we got politicians that are crooks. If we didn't have
I
these,
think that you think that people care a lot more about it than people actually do, though.
they might not because they don't understand it, but that is exactly why we have such crooked politicians and why nothing ever gets done and why rich people keep getting tax
No,
cuts because it's their donors.
it's crazy. See, now you're going off the rails here because
How?
Trump is the opposite of a crooked politician. You understand that?
How? How is he the opposite?
Trump is not running to get rich. Trump was already rich before all of this. He's not running to get rich, all right? I know you think that he's running to get rich. I promise you, he's not. I know that for a
Who
fact.
cares?
Right?
I don't care why he's running. The fact is, when he was in office, he did a horrible job. And after
No, no,
yes,
stop,
yes,
stop,
yes,
stop,
yes.
stop.
It's the
stop.
fact.
You're crazy. You're
Give me
going
give me the
crazy.
numbers.
You're off the
I showed you the
rails. You're off the
deficit.
rails.
Look at the
You're off the
deficit. Look
rails.
how much he. Well, then give me some fucking stats. Then, if you can't
You're off the
argue, if
rails.
you can't argue with stats, then I don't know what to tell you. I've already shown you where the GDP has gone up under Joe Biden. It had gone
You're
down
off the
under
rails.
Trump. Well, you're off the rails. You're off the rails. Whatever, bro. All right, let's go ahead and end the live stream then, because we're all off the rails.
No, you're off the rails. I
How?
want to
Explain it then.
You've got to understand that Donald Trump is a much better candidate than Joe Biden by a long shot, okay?
How so? I disagree, obviously.
Let me explain to you something.
Sure.
When Joe Biden leaves office, he's going to have done nothing once everybody's done.
He's already
Right.
recovered from the COVID crisis, the pandemic.
No. Stop. Anybody, like, you're not going to impress me with stuff that any stupid person could have done, okay? Anybody could have recovered from the COVID pandemic. Like, come on, dude, stop. Let's grow up, all right?
Maybe
Let's
he
grow
would have
up.
handled it a lot better than Trump.
grow
Trump
up.
literally came out onto television and said there are only 5 people with COVID and that number will only go down. And from there it blew up. He just said anything he could. He always says anything he could that he wants people to hear. He just lies. He doesn't care what's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, he lies.
just bullshits. He's not even lying. He's bullshitting, okay? You're confused.
What's the difference?
There's a difference. You need to understand. You should learn the difference. It would suit you well, all right? Here's the thing. Donald Trump is 10 times more respected globally than Joe Biden is.
That's most definitely not true. The government.
No, stop.
The world.
Stop.
No, the world thinks Donald
You
Trump
have
is
to
a
let me
clown.
talk. You have
Donald
to
Trump
let me
is a
talk.
clown to the world.
You have to let me talk.
Well, you gotta spit something that's actually true. You're just making crap up.
Can I pull up thousands of videos on YouTube? Can I pull up?
That's called
thousands of
anecdotal
videos
evidence.
on
It means
YouTube for
nothing.
you?
What?
Can
Because
I
Russian
pull up-
butt farms make.
No, why aren't you letting me talk? You
Because
see
you're
losing.
talking crap. I'm
When
ready to
you
end the
don't
stream
let
because you're
people
just full of
talk,
crap,
that
dude.
means
You're full of crap.
losing. I'm
Prove
letting
something.
you talk. You're not letting me talk.
Go ahead.
That means you're a loser.
All right, go ahead.
Don't get confused.
Go ahead.
I can show you thousands of videos on YouTube. People from India respect Donald Trump 1,000 times as much as they respect Biden. And India is a massive country with one of the biggest populations in the entire world. Matter of fact, number 2. Okay? Now you can say, oh, India doesn't matter. And that's what I expect you to say, is that India doesn't matter. That would be racist, first of all. And second of all, it matters a whole heck of a lot. The Indian people, as well as the people in countries around the world,
respect Donald Trump 100 times more than they respect Joe Biden. And I'll explain why.
Prove it.
And I'll
Prove it.
explain
Prove
why.
it. Prove it.
Joe Biden
Prove it.
is never in front of the camera. Joe Biden has made a total of like 5 TV appearances since he's been elected. Donald Trump was on TV every day.
Because he's a
right?
narcissist. But no, Joe's on there all the time. He's
listen,
on a lot.
listen,
he has a press secretary.
Listen, Donald Trump was very bashful in his speech, okay? This is America personified. I know that you hate this. Donald Trump is America personified. Because guess what? And I know that you hate this. America has problems, Vault. And guess what? Donald Trump has problems.
Yeah.
Okay? Guess what? Joe Biden is touted in front of us like he is just basically some perfect politician that was groomed from a young age to be a politician, okay? Donald Trump is the embodiment of America. People know that. Everybody in every single country around the world knows that Donald Trump embodied America 1,000 times as good as Joe Biden did. And you hate that. That's going to piss you off so bad, but it is so truthful that you're going to try to think of anything you can to dispute that Donald Trump is America. Guess what? We have shootings in America. We did racism in America, okay? And guess what? Donald Trump said grab him by the P word, okay? Both of them have their problems, okay? Tell me the problems that Joe Biden has so that he can connect with the American people.
Oh, yeah, Joe Biden, definitely an old man. He has trouble connecting with the American people, but I definitely don't think abroad that he is less respected than Donald Trump. If you remember, you go back to Helsinki.
I can show you countless videos on YouTube.
Videos don't mean shit. That don't mean nothing. That means that's anecdotal. It means nothing. Here's what matters. Here's what matters. But Tom, can I speak now?
There are no scientific studies about this, and you desperately want there to be one, but there isn't.
How would you do that?
And so that is going to piss you off. And so I promise you, I am right and you are wrong. People in India respect Trump 10 times more. You have no evidence. I at least have anecdotal evidence. That might not be the best evidence, but I promise you, anecdotal evidence is 1,000 times better than no evidence.
All right, and here's my evidence if you'll let me speak. Go back to Helsinki when Donald Trump was president, sitting next to Vladimir Putin, talking about interference in the election. And he literally said that Putin told him that he didn't do it, so I believe Putin. And then when he came back to America, he changed the word and said, no, I didn't say that. I said something different. He went out like a bitch. He bowed his head to Putin in front of the world in Helsinki, and the entire world saw that. And the entire world knows that he went out like a bitch right in front of Putin. He would not disgrace Putin to his face, because he considers Putin a strong man, stronger than him, because he's a bitch. He's a beta. And he made America look like betas that day.
You've got to understand. Let me ask you something. Did Trump team up with Russia during the election? There has been an extraordinary amount of news about this lately, and I would hope that you have been following that. Did Trump collude with Russia? I need to know your answer to that question right now, because you are repeating a lot of the same news stories that are circulating in the same circles where we heard about Trump-Russia collusion. So let me ask you, did Trump collude with Russia?
Absolutely, and like always, he got away
No,
with it. Yes,
no,
he
he
did. I don't
didn't.
give a shit.
That is
I
a
don't give a
big
shit what the
move.
right-wing
No.
people say.
No.
Lev Parnas.
No.
Lev Parnas.
How
It's
can you
proven.
not know?
It's proven.
How can you not know? This is the big
Russia
news.
butt farm-
They found
Russia
out
butt farms
that he
are
did
proven.
not collude with Russia, and you're going to sit there and try to say he did?
Yes,
they found
he did.
that he didn't.
Who found? I don't care. I
The
seen it with my
government.
own eyes. I seen it with my own eyes. I
This
seen the
came
proof.
out like 3 weeks ago. It has been proven that Trump did not collude with Russia. And look at you repeating the same lies that you're repeating now about all these other topics. You literally repeat the same lies that
Prove
you
it a
hear
lie.
from CNN.
CNN, I don't watch any type of news organizations. I get my news from everybody else here, and that's Philip
Yeah.
DeFranco. Shout out to
And you're
Philly D.
still repeating the lies of CNN. You literally just said Trump colluded with Russia.
Yeah,
you literally
absolutely.
just
There is
said
proof.
that. You
There
literally
is
just
proof.
said that. I
There are
can't believe you
tapes.
said
There are
that.
tapes of him
You are
speaking with
crazy.
Lev
They
Parnas, the
just
Russian.
proved that was bullshit.
There are
They just
proof.
proved that was bullshit. The
right.
problem is that you so desperately don't want it to be bullshit that you are literally willing to not even look into the truth because you so desperately.
I've looked into it. He literally asked Russia to hack and find emails live on TV. It's live on TV. Yes, it was.
He didn't.
What are you talking about, Bud Thompson? That is a famous speech that he made live on TV, and you're denying it. He literally said on TV, Russia, if you're listening, hack those emails. He literally said it on TV, and you're denying it.
What you're describing is not collusion. You're freaking insane.
How is that not
You're
collusion?
insane.
That's literally talking directly
That's
to
not
him.
collusion.
How?
That's not collusion.
Then we have a different.
You don't know what collusion is, so you should really probably avoid this topic if you don't know what it is. Okay?
In my opinion, that is collusion.
What was said by Trump was not collusion.
In my opinion, that is collusion.
They have recently proven that Trump did not collude with Russia, but you desperately want it to be true.
He did it live.
He
did it live, and you deny it.
This day,
did it live, and you deny it. It's literal collusion right in your face, and you deny it. So just skip this. Let's just move on to the next topic.
Okay, no, let me ask you another question. Were masks effective at stopping COVID?
Oh my goodness, this is such a great question. It's hilarious because it's proven that masks are not effective at stopping you from getting COVID. They never were. They never were supposed to be. We've explained this to you people 100 times. They are effective at your germs not coming out of your mouth. That's what they're for, not your germs not coming out. It's not for stopping germs coming in. And that's the whole argument. See, we told you, masks don't stop germs from coming in. They were never supposed to. They stop germs from going out.
Right. You sound really informed on this issue, man.
Am I wrong?
Well, see, the problem is that you're going to make a whole lot of other absurd claims if we were to go down this rabbit hole. That's the problem. Not necessarily what you have said, but what you would say.
I don't even know what that means.
Your perception of the pandemic is probably completely skewed.
Says the guy who thinks that masks were ineffective.
They were ineffective at stopping.
Exactly. But they did what they were supposed to do. They were never supposed to stop it from coming in. They stopped it from going out.
Okay. Were you fine? Were you totally A-okay with people losing their job for not getting vaccinated? Were you A-okay with that?
It depends on what their job is. If you work in a hospital and you're a nurse, absolutely you should have to get vaccinated to do your job. I don't think vaccines should be mandatory for everybody. Absolutely not. But if you're working in customer service and you're face to face with people every day, then you should probably get the you should probably have to.
What would the vaccine have helped people if they worked in the hospital? What would that have done for them?
It stops the spread a little bit. It makes the symptoms less deadly and not as bad, obviously.
But they would have still gotten the virus either way, huh?
I don't know. Well, you mean the people who got the vaccine, or the people that are being treated by people who got vaccine? Would they still get it? I think they didn't know for sure if the vaccine would stop the spread, and they did say at first that it made you not contagious, but they were wrong about that. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Sure. I agree. That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
So. I'm really concerned that this topic is probably not very good for you.
Okay, then show me how. So far, I'm doing all right.
The whole problem is that Trump had the best response to the pandemic, and you don't think so.
You're right.
Trump was smart about it. He was right about it. And if we had done what Trump wanted, we would have been 10 times better off.
What was that?
And I'm thinking that you don't want to agree with that.
What was it that Trump wanted to do?
I promise you. Here's the simple answer. Trump did not want to shut down the economy, and he would not have if he was able to do what he wanted. And what's funny is that would have been the best thing to do, is not shut down the economy.
Okay, I guess that's theoretical. We'll never know.
No, that would have been the best thing to do.
How do you know?
Huh?
How do you know?
Less people would have died. What do you mean? It's obvious.
Less people would have died if they didn't shut down the economy?
Yes.
How so? That's less people going to work, so less people are getting affected and less people are getting the actual COVID virus, so that means less people are dying. How do you figure otherwise?
The problem with your entire logic is you've got to understand. See, your mind is going to be so broken by this, okay?
Okay.
In the United States, we spent an enormous amount of money and time vaccinating people that never in a million years needed the vaccine that they were getting treated with, okay? The reason why less people would have died is because we would have been able to focus on vulnerable populations, people that actually had a higher chance of dying as a result of COVID. The main one being the person's weight, okay? Age and weight, I suppose, both of them.
But I thought the economy didn't matter to you. You said that nobody cared about the economy. Now it's all about we should have did the Trump's way, so that it helped the economy. We didn't shut the economy down. I thought that wasn't a big deal.
It's not a big deal when it comes. Well, okay, you're getting a lot of things misconstrued here.
All right, that was a chat
Deficit
comment.
and debt numbers are not important when people are voting.
It should be, but you're probably right. People are purposely driven to talk about social issues that they know people on the other side will vehemently disagree with them, and they can argue about it and they can focus on that, so they don't look at the economy, which is really the important stuff. This is how the rich people are stealing our money through taxation, through tax loops. Nobody pays attention to it. Like you said, they're not worried about the economy. They're more worried about these social issues like transgenderism and abortion and gun control. Mark says, but wins the vaccine talk, but crediting Trump is delusional. I mean, I don't know, man.
I understand, because look, here's the honest truth. Trump left office during the pandemic, so anything I'm saying is hypothetical, okay?
Sure.
I know that, all right? Everything I'm saying is hypothetical. Joe Biden is the one that finished out the pandemic, simply put.
And you're saying Trump handled it well, but did he not say that it was a fake pandemic? Did he not say that there were only 5 people and it was only going to get better? I mean, how did he handle that correctly?
Dude, I told you, he's bullshitting. He's bullshitting.
Yeah, he lies a lot. Yeah, that's part of my point, too.
You can say he's lying,
yes,
but if he thinks things are true, they are not lies. You have to admit that. There's something else. There's obviously something different. If he says something and he thinks it's true, that is something different.
I mean, if he thinks that there was only 5 cases of COVID at the time and that number was going to go down, and he truly believed that, that makes him an idiot. Literally nobody else in the world believed that. We all knew that COVID was coming to America. 5 people already had it. How would the first 5 people, the number go down from there? It can only go up. Obviously, he would have to be a complete idiot to believe that. So he didn't really believe it. He didn't believe it. He lied to your face.
You're talking out of line here. You're talking out of line here, because nobody expects the president to be like a doctor. I don't know why you're saying that.
So then why does he make the claim?
You can say he's an idiot,
yes,
but we're talking about the same guy who was talking about dropping a nuke on like a freaking tsunami or something.
Yeah, not
like,
smart.
You've got to understand, like, he is literally just throwing out any idea he can think of in his head, no matter how crazy it sounds.
That's not what presidents are supposed to do. No other president does that. Joe Biden doesn't do that. Why, as a president, is he doing that?
Because it gives the people an idea of what the possibilities are, at least, because Joe Biden just pulls strings and he doesn't give us any possibility for what the other options are. You understand that, right?
I mean, I understand that Joe Biden speaks facts from what he knows and he doesn't lie to our faces, and Trump says what he thinks we want to hear so that we like him.
I don't think Trump wants us to like him. You're being crazy.
He wants his people to like him, absolutely.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, whatever. All right. I don't know. I feel like Donald Trump handled the pandemic very poorly, and that if Joe Biden was in office at the time, a lot of less people would have died.
No, I think you're completely wrong, and nobody can prove their answer. So
Absolutely true. Nobody can prove that.
I think you are wrong because I think Donald Trump had the right idea, and Joe Biden.
What was his idea?
Didn't really
you haven't told me what was Trump's idea besides not shutting down the economy. Was that it?
Not shutting down the economy. Yeah, that's
but we don't know. I mean, they shut down the economy because they were afraid a bunch of people were going to die. They did it. Their motivation is to save people's lives, and that's what's important here. It's not like they were doing it for nefarious reasons. Nobody wanted to lose money.
You can say that, but if Trump ended up being right about the pandemic, then Trump ended up being right.
But he wasn't.
No, he was. You're crazy.
How was he right? He said there was going to be 5 people and nobody else was going to get COVID.
He played down the pandemic, okay? And I'll give you the secret truth that you're really scared of.
Okay.
The virus was not worth worrying about, okay? It was a very not dangerous thing, okay? It was actually very not dangerous,
I agree with you, actually, but they didn't know that at the time. That's the problem. They didn't know that at the time. You're right. Yeah, it ended up being that way, but they're taking preventative measures to save lives. Lots of people did die.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's not exactly true either, is it?
Let's do one more topic because it's almost been the 2-hour mark. We don't want to go too much over the 2-hour mark or nobody will watch the replay. A lot of people have been mentioning the Hunter Biden's laptop stuff. So we thought we would mention that a little bit. In my opinion, so far, only thing that has been found on Hunter Biden's laptop is him smoking crack and banging hookers. There's no underage girls. There's no crime being committed. And there's nothing that leads to Joe Biden. Hunter Biden is not the president at all. So why does it matter?
It sounds like you're intentionally or unintentionally missing information, okay?
What info am I missing?
There, as far as I can tell, has definitely been images of Hunter Biden with small children, and they appear very sexual in nature.
Like what? Yeah, right. This is all that pedophile stuff. Like these people talk about and look at pedophile pictures all day. I think they're the pedophiles. Show them. Show me. We'll pull them up. I don't care.
Like, look at how afraid you are to even address it though.
Then show me the pictures. I will put. If I'm afraid, then why do I want to show the pictures on my stream? I don't even care if the stream gets cut off. Just give me the pictures and let's see it. Prove it.
It's disgusting. Why would you show them?
Exactly.
I am telling you.
Exactly.
And you can either believe me or not.
I've researched this. There is nothing incriminating besides hookers and crack on Hunter Biden's laptop.
And little kids. And
how? Show me. When? There's pictures of him with his niece laying on the couch where they're both closed and sleeping. What?
Not that. Trust me. There's different pictures. That's what you think.
What you're doing is you're going to these websites where they make up crap, they AI stuff, and they say that it is, but that's never proven to be true. If that was true, why is the FBI not doing anything? They don't cover up stuff for people. Of course, a lot of people won't agree that on the right wing, but I'm saying that this is public information. So if those pictures did exist, they would be all over the news right now, 100%. They would not be hidden to where nobody knows about them.
You say that, but the news is in the back pocket of the Democratic Party. It's
mainstream news, yeah, but there's plenty of independent journalists now.
Let me ask you something, Vault.
Sure.
Are there cameras at the White House, do you think?
Yes.
Do you think that there is video evidence of whose cocaine was dropped at the White House?
Yes. Do you think? Yes. There is definitely
video evidence.
But yes. Do you think it was Hunter Biden's?
Why is it the case that they're saying that they'll never know who it is? Are you saying that?
Who said that? Nobody said that. They plan to. The FBI says they will know that.
Of the president of the press secretary of the president of the United States said that we might never find out whose cocaine that is. But you just told me that there are cameras there.
Right.
So you got to understand why your side is crazy, because you keep spouting off on these different news stories, and not a single one of them has actually been 100% the truth. It's all been little bits and pieces of things that can be considered true, but it looks like you're very scared of the full picture, which is kind of concerning.
What am I scared of?
Consider getting the full picture, because you're getting just a small portion of a picture from the Democratic
generalities
Party.
That make no sense. All right, give me a second, but let me talk for a second, because you're just spouting off crazy stuff that makes no sense. You got to be specific here on what you're talking about. Everything you say is so general that I can't even reply to it. But when it comes to the cocaine in the White House, it is 100% in an area at a time where it can no doubt not be either of the Bidens. Hunter Biden was nowhere around there for 3 days, and he doesn't go into that entrance. He's never in that part of the White House.
You're being absurd.
It was not sitting on the ground. You're being absurd. How was it? You think this was sitting on the White House floor for 3 days and nobody noticed?
Where that cocaine was found 3 times now. So which of the locations are you talking about? Which of the 3 locations are you talking about that the Bidens couldn't have been to?
It has not moved. There's only one location. Unless you're watching right-wing media. Only if you're watching right-wing lies, you think it moved. There's always only been one location.
They have moved it. And you're so scared of it that you don't even know that. And you're so
Stop saying I'm scared, dude. That's fucking stupid. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm about to end this live stream, dude. You're ridiculous, man. You make no sense. What am I scared of? Stop saying I'm scared. I don't give a fuck. I wanted the truth. I'm not scared of shit.
They have moved the location of the cocaine 3 times.
Give me a source. Prove it.
Like, you keep saying that. Give me a source.
Yes.
How about you learn how to Google? It's not that hard.
I've Googled it, and it says, Google says one spot it never moved. OAN says it moved, and OAN lies about everything. So it's all about the source. That's why I want a source, because it has to be a source that is reputable and not one that is known for lying all the time and has been caught in nevertheless. So if like Project Veritas or Dinesh D'Souza puts out information, you know it's a lie, because all the other information they put out has been lies. You go to the source. That's why the source matters, and you can double check it with other sources.
It was reported on every single source where the first location was, and that location changed because they initially said that it could have been in an area where normal pedestrians could have got to it. And they have since revised that and said that where it was found, nobody could have gotten to it.
Right. It wasn't the location that moved. It wasn't the location that moved. It was,
and I know you hate, it's going to be OAN.
Oh, I'm scared again. I'm scared again. Oh, my God. Oh, you're so scared. I'm scared of my non-facts. You have no facts. You're not, when you're saying I'm scared of everything. Just because they changed.
All the sources.
Man,
this wasn't from a specific website. These were from all of the sources. And you only looked at OAN. And then you got mad when you only looked at one.
All right, whatever. It's craziness. All right, I think we need to go ahead and end the live stream. It's almost been 2 hours. It's been fun. We got passionate, and that's what political debates are supposed to be about. We got a little more passionate than I expected, but that was what makes it interesting and entertaining. So hopefully folks in the chat enjoyed it and had a good time. It was a fun debate. I don't think we changed anybody's minds here. We definitely didn't change each other's minds. But if I can't find anybody else who wants to debate me, but I would love to have you back on again. I think you might have already. Are you still there?
Okay. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, you were like weren't moving. I thought you froze or something. All right, man. I thought it was it was fun. I enjoy this type of stuff. I hope you're all right, but we're still cool, right?
Dude, yes, we're more cool. What?
Absolutely, I agree, 100%. And just because
I want to come back on tomorrow, like I don't care, dude. We got more stuff to talk about.
Hell yeah, I want to do this every Tuesday. We can have debates every Tuesday. I was thinking about making a new weekly stream, and you're obviously very passionate, and I enjoyed it. So, and it seems like the folks in the chat enjoyed it. You had people on your side. There were some people that were on my side. It was almost like 50-50. So that's what it's supposed to be. And I think you did a great job defending your points here. And I appreciate all the people in the chat who hung out with us and gave us your input. I'm sorry that I didn't read too much of the chat today. I was too busy in my passionate arguments that I was trying to make. But once again, thanks again for joining me on this, and everybody in the chat, thank you for watching.
Somebody is saying I lost here. That's absurd, man. You gotta really think about what you're saying here, man. You're crazy.
The people in there like Nasera and all the other people that disagree with me all say that you won. So that's just the way it is. The people on the right are going to say you won, and the people on the left are going to say I won. Hopefully there's people in the middle out there.
I wasn't even really trying to win. All
Me
right.
neither. I'm just trying to get my points across.
But yeah, I think that I've heard you enough to know where you generally fall. So I knew generally what was going to be said. It's not like this is really a surprise to me or anything. You're not saying anything that's like shocking me or offending me or anything like that. I kind of knew what you were going to say. Um, yeah, I'd like to keep doing this.
Yeah, maybe next time we can even make it a little bit more structured, where we have some topics ahead of time, so we're not just rambling. Although we did 2 hours fine, and we had plenty of stuff to talk about. When it comes to politics, there's always lots of good subjects to bring up for sure.
The funny thing is I'm extremely less extreme than a whole heck of a lot of the right wing pundits that you might find online. So I think it's hilarious that people might say that I lose. It's just like, dude, I'm less right wing than a lot of people online. I promise you that.
Oh, I know you are,
Yeah.
especially on Twitter. I'll get into arguments with them all the time. I
Like
used to.
I get into like when I watch a lot of left wing content. Most of what I watch is left wing content. I don't know if anybody else can say that. I don't know if many people can say that. I would say 90% of the content I consume is left wing content, and I am on the right.
That's interesting. I'll consume a little bit of right wing content. I watch Tucker Carlson has actually been interesting to me recently, but there's other people like Crowder and all. What's his name? The guy with the toboggan that I watch all the time too, Tim Pool.
I like I hate these people. I hate Tim Pool. I hate Steven Crowder. I think that they're a bad representation of what the right wing should be. I think I'm a more suitable candidate of what the right should be than them. I think that what they do isn't very helpful.
Yeah, you're right. They like to spark flames, but that's kind of like clickbait. That gets them more views, so they do it on purpose. It's not even genuine
really
in many
don't.
cases.
I don't like Tim Pool. I
Yeah.
don't like Tim Pool at all. I hate it when people say that they are a classic liberal and then they come out and then they're a Trump supporter. I hate that.
It's pretty fake.
Stop lying to the people.
True that. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and end this up once again. But appreciate you, and hopefully we'll do this again next Tuesday. Let me know. Send me over a tweet or something if you want me to do another one of these political debates, or if you think it was a bad idea and I shouldn't do anymore, then also let me know, and maybe I won't. But appreciate you, bro, and I will see you around. Later, guys.
Have a great day, everybody.